Parker, great to see you, man. Great to
Th-
have you on.
Thank you, Daniel. Good to see you as well. And thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah. Well, let's jump right into it. No time to waste. I'd love to hear about, it's 2025, it's mid 2025, and economy's crazy. Everything's crazy right now. But when I think about online based businesses, that's the market that both you and I serve. What are most people getting wrong with how they're thinking about their books or how they're doing their books? And if you want to provide even a little more context as
Yeah.
to who you serve and what all you do accordingly, I'd love to go from there.
Yeah, there's so much we can talk about here, Daniel. So it's a good. We're starting off here with a question we can go in a lot of different directions with. But to kick things off again, my name is Parker Stevenson. I'm the CEO and co-owner of an accounting firm for online businesses called Evolve Finance, and I actually wrote a book called Profit Pillars as well, which is like the financial book for online business owners. It's like my decade of everything I've learned all put into one book. So I think the first thing I will say here is that a lot of business owners look at bookkeeping as strictly a compliance thing. It's just for taxes. Um, that's about half true. It's half true because yes, we all have to pay our taxes. And if you're just sending your accountant a bunch of bank statements, your accountant's going to be like, I can't do anything with this. What do you want me to do? Like, I need organized financial data. And so there is that component, which is what a lot of business owners kind of think is the main aspect of bookkeeping, because a lot of business owners don't make decisions based on data, or especially not financial data. If they have money in their bank account, then they're like, okay, we're good. Like that's all I need to know. And as business owners, we have to go beyond just seeing what's in our bank accounts, because it is getting more competitive in the online space, in a variety of ways. There's more online business owners than ever before, and also advertising is getting more competitive. Consumers are getting savvier. You just have to up your game across the board, especially as a marketing and salesperson. And so when it comes to bookkeeping, the other half that business owners forget about is, well, I need to know the financial health of my business. Are the decisions I'm making from an operation standpoint in terms of how I run my business, are the decisions around what I'm investing money in working out? And by working out, I mean, is it creating a more profitable business? Because I don't know for you, Daniel, and I know you've worked with some other businesses that are in this space, but there's a lot of financial advice out there that either gets into the corporate space or it's very tech and startup based. And our clients don't really consider themselves startups. Sure, if you're starting a business, you can say you're a startup, but usually startups have capital coming from outside the business owner's own wallet. They are businesses they're trying to scale aggressively. There's like a completely different strategy there. And over the last 10 to 15 years, there's been a lot of businesses like these startups that go public. They're not profitable when they go public, but the business owner or the founders and the shareholders become millionaires overnight because they go public, or because Google buys them, or insert any other large tech company buys them, and the profitability almost isn't even the main factor there. It's the IP and the assets that the business has, and the scalability of the business. The is it a new emerging market and it's exciting, right? Like the types of businesses our clients are running, they run from home, they're small teams, it's a cash flow business. Can I make enough money? Do I have enough money left over each month to pay my bills? And a lot of our clients have done an amazing job of having more than enough money left over to pay their bills. But that's why it's so important as online business owners. What's the financial game we're playing here? We're likely never going to get bought out for millions of dollars. We're never going to go public and have an IPO. That's not what these businesses are about. It's about being profitable as soon as you possibly can. And again, a lot of business owners, the only thing they know about their profitability is, do they have money in their bank account? And what I do as the CEO of Evolve Finance is trying to help people understand that, like, your bookkeeping can make understanding the profitability of your business so much easier and also allow you as a business owner to start to make better financial decisions. But we need a good set of books. We need financial data to look at.
Excellent. Man, way to get us off on the right foot here. I- You said something about startups, and I want to dive into that more because when I first started my agency, Be Known, then I did not take on any sort of outside investors or outside capital. And when I started diving more into the world of digital marketing, specifically direct response marketing, it's to maximize the value of each customer that comes in. But most of the businesses in my space, in our arena as well, they don't take on outside capital. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on if I'm going out there and starting an information product business. Maybe I want to sell online courses, or maybe I want to start coaching people. Then why don't most people take on outside capital? Is it something that, hey, you shouldn't do it? Are there any set rules around it? Or why is it not common?
Well, there's a variety of factors here from what I've seen. Number one, um, you don't need you don't need money to start you don't need at least a significant amount of money to start a business. Now think about if you're like Daniel, go start a restaurant. Like there's no
Ooh.
just I'll create a website and then see if people show up to a random location to I mean I know there's like pop-up restaurants and stuff like that, which are kind of like a scrappy way of building the funding to open a restaurant, but you likely will need hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to get a space, hire a team, buy inventory, buy tools and equipment, and it's a whole thing, right? But with coaching businesses, really any sort of information or even service based businesses, right? Freelancers, you can build, I've seen clients build businesses off of their Instagram accounts, right? They create content, it attracts the ideal audience, and then they serve that audience through, their coaching programs, courses, membership sites, group coaching, mastermind, whatever it may be. So as long as you have a network, you can kind of get in front of your target audience. You can build a business that you don't really need a lot of money up front. And that's where it's like to get capital. It's like, well, what would you do with $150,000 investment anyways? It's like most like online business owners would end up probably wasting it because there is a certain amount of you need reps. Like a lot of these businesses are based on how good are you at what you do, business owner? Like how good are you at coaching, teaching, advising, instructing, serving your audience? So a lot of these businesses tend to happen organically. And I'm not saying there haven't been online businesses where an influencer or a personal brand, maybe they already have a lot of resources, they double down and they really make an impact really fast. I mean, I think about someone like Alex Hermosi, who's really the most popular, probably business influencer in the world right now. And Alex had already been running successful businesses before anyone knew who he was. So he said, I'm going to become a personal brand. And he's invested millions of dollars into making that happen because he could do it. But most of our clients, I mean, especially a lot of our clients have been women. So they're like they're like the primary breadwinners for their family, or they're people of color who have never who just had to get scrappy. Like they're not people with master's degrees. They're not people who went to business school. Like especially for the clients that we attract, they're first time entrepreneurs in their family. So it's not like, oh yeah, my dad has a hedge fund and so I'm starting a thing, I'm going to start software. It's like they're all like hustling, like most American families are trying to do to start their businesses. So it kind of needs to be affordable to start these businesses. And again, if you're good at what you do, you have a problem you can solve for people, then a lot of the time the internet, just there's so much opportunity on the internet to get exposure and to build a customer base that there's just no need. You're not building a physical product. You don't need a site that you're building a building on, right? There's all the, again, other businesses have all this complexity that starts right from the beginning. Like there's no avoiding it. If you want to sell widgets, well, you got to either go buy the widgets for inventory or you got to start building these widgets so you have something to sell. So I've seen clients as they get more established start to think about, well, if I got, a loan or an investor or something, could that take my business to the next level? And Daniel, I'm sure you're very aware of this. A lot of the time, you don't need necessarily more money. A lot of the times, it's just you need better strategy. You have to level up as a business owner. You just got to get more resourceful, more strategic. And we've had a number of clients that I've seen start from very modest beginnings, build multi seven figure businesses over time. But there is the matter of like, how patient are you, and how much are you willing to continue to learn and to grow? Because that tends to be more of the growth factor for businesses like this. Not, do I need to get a $250,000 in funding?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely subscribe to that. I have the blessing of getting to see businesses after they've reached traction and they're at an inflection point, and then selfishly, Be Known LLC takes them up, and we scale them to greater figures. But I want to expand upon that, because when we think about this business model, in my opinion, this is one of, if not the best business models to create cash flow, create a lot of profit very quickly, and have a sustainable business at the same time. And so I say that because we both are students of business. We've seen all sorts of business models and types of businesses. And yeah, a restaurant sounds sexy at face value, but we've all seen the episodes of Kitchen Nightmares.
I
And
love it. I love that show so much. I've
yes.
watched a lot of them myself.
So we know what happens behind the scenes. You've got to deal with personnel, and you've got to deal with inventory, and oh no, the food rot because you let it go 2 more days. And well, this business model of online based businesses, and specifically for my vertical, people that coach and people that sell online education, oh my gosh, it's incredible when done correctly. And so there's a much bigger conversation around what makes or breaks success in the beginning. But I want to keep that packaged up for a second, and I want to talk more about the scalability factor, and after you've reached the critical mass of customers, then I think about these business models in stages. So after you've reached your critical mass of initial customers, you're making 5, 10, 15, $20,000 a month. Then we start to get into what you talked about is rinse and repeat. Do the things that work successfully consistently. And going back to Hermosi, he always talks about, all right, if you find something that works, triple down on it. Do it, multiply it, rinse and repeat. Oh, you're just not doing enough of what works. That's what I'm getting at. So when we look at these types of businesses, you and I had a conversation a bit ago about how to set up the chart of accounts for growth oriented businesses. And what I'm getting at, Parker, is customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, cost per acquisition, basically Facebook ads, ad spend, stuff like that. So I want to move the conversation into that category. All right, you've reached your critical mass, you've done the organic stuff, now you're spending money on ads. Oh my gosh, advertising, crazy beast, right? We spend money, we gamble it. But what do you see for your client base? What are they getting wrong when before they come into your world, and in terms of how they view ad spend and cost to acquire customers? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, number one, I think that the exposure we get to this is over complicating numbers sometimes. So I think a lot of business owners, especially from a financial standpoint, um, they they put so much time and focus into like, okay, let's like build out all these sophisticated funnels and lead generation strategies. And then when it comes down to actually like, how are you tracking this? Number one, they think more of it needs to happen in QuickBooks. And in reality, like Corey and I use QuickBooks Online to do the books for Evolve Finance, just like we do with all of our clients. But we don't like try to get those numbers that you were talking about, some of those metrics that you just mentioned, Daniel. We're not tracking those in QuickBooks.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep the books as clean as possible, as simple as you can. And in our business, definitely our books get a little bigger and a little like the P&L gets a little longer because we just have a lot more stuff going on than we did 6 years ago or 8 years ago or 11 years ago. So, a P&L will get naturally a little more longer and complex over time, but ultimately your profit and loss statement, which is what your bookkeeping software should be generating, is the most important financial report for any small business. Keeping that simple and not trying to make your books the centerpiece of data for your
Mm.
business. Um, there is a little bit of this feeling sometimes as business owners where it's like, well, there's like got to be something a CFO would be doing, and I just don't know what it is. And so they think that there's like some like one tool or one central place that gives them all the financial information they want. And I mean, I worked for a massive corporation, one of the most well-known brands in the world. It's been 11 years since I've worked there, so I'm sure some of the systems have upgraded. But even corporations, like the amount of spreadsheets they use, like they have their software and their system, but you're still exporting data and tracking things in spreadsheets. It's just the nature of the game. I know there's software companies out there that want to convince you that there's a one size fits all, do everything for you software. If it did, every corporation in the country would use it. But it's just not how it works. Businesses are complicated and sophisticated, even sometimes when they're small. And you need to create custom sort of processes for this stuff. And so that's the one thing I think a lot of business owners, they think all it needs to all happen in the software. It's like, no, build out spreadsheets. If your books are accurate, then you have all the data you need to export it and then customize what you want to track and what you want to look at. And then the same thing will happen from the marketing metrics side, right? Like QuickBooks is not the place to track your marketing metrics. That's not where you're trying to track average client value and cost per click and all, or cost per, acquisition, all these kind of metrics that we know marketers are thinking about. Like, if there's anything for those businesses out there that feel insecure about having all these spreadsheets in their business, great. Have spreadsheets. Don't have more than you need, but if your books are accurate and then you have the right marketing systems in place where you can track like how many people are clicking on the ad and how many people are clicking on the landing page, how many people are attending the webinar, and either you're doing it yourself or you're working with a team like Daniel's to do this, then it's like, cool, take those data points, put it in spreadsheets. If you're working with a partner like Daniel's agency, then great, they're going to do a lot of that heavy lifting for you. But when you're going to start throwing money into your business and you're going to start making these investments and quite frankly taking risk and investing in ads, like, just make sure you're tracking that data. Do it in spreadsheets. Not everything needs to happen in QuickBooks. And I think it's important as business owners, we understand like what are the financial metrics we need to be tracking, and where does that make sense to kind of see to monitor those and track those, and then where do the marketing metrics that do have a financial implication to them, they do tie into our finances, but where are we tracking those and how do we make sure we have the ultimate clarity on those numbers as well?
Yes. Yes. Amen to that. You answered that perfectly. I've seen businesses that aren't quite ready for our services, but they are trying to cobble together their P&L as it relates to their lead gen metrics. I'm like, there's just obvious disconnects there. I'm not going to go too much into that, but
Well, and let me say this, Daniel. One of the things I talk about in my book, Profit Pillars, the first three chapters are about the mental side of money.
mm,
I'm
yeah.
not a therapist or a psychologist, but I've been on enough calls with business owners where people are anxious, afraid, upset, fearful, insecure, to know that money is a sensitive topic for people. And I think one of the most important things, I just before we go on in this, is just to acknowledge that if you are one of those business owners where you're just like, I'm doing the best I can, I'm just trying to piece it together, it's like, cool, that's fine. No one teaches us this. Like, there's not like you didn't go to the Small Business Academy where you learn exactly what you need to do with your finances as a small business owner. Like, it doesn't exist. And frankly, business owners shouldn't be spending an inordinate amount of time focused on their finance stuff, because you don't need to be a CFO, right? There's some basic blocking and tackling I think every online business owner needs to understand, and that's what we try to help I'd say the online business space as a whole, discover and learn and absorb. But just know that, it's easy for me to say this stuff because this is what I do. And Daniel, this is what you do as well. You're in it. But that's why it's so important that people understand that you might need to get some support with this part of your business. You might need some experts to come in and kind of guide you on this. And again, if an expert is coming in and telling you to overcomplicate things, that is
Mm,
usually a red flag for me.
yeah.
So much of, I think, running a scalable online business is how can you keep things as simple and clear as possible for as long as possible. Because if you grow big enough, complexity is going to happen naturally. But do you want to build complexity on a nice, simple, clean foundation, or do you want to build complexity on a hot mess that's only going to get messier and hotter over time?
Oh, I know which one I want. We use the word tight in Be Known a lot. Let's keep
Mhm.
it tight. Let's keep it lean. A tight brief, a tight funnel, precise. Ah, lean and profitable. Oh man, that's a deadly combination right there.
Amen.
So, so one side note before I move into the transition of doing it yourself versus hiring a firm is I love spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets because you manually input data to stay
Yep.
accountable to it. But on the other side of the coin, I love a platform called Databox. And so, shameless plug to Databox. I've used them for 7 years now. It's a way to have real time dashboards, mobile friendly, that clients can then look at anytime on their phone if they're set up properly. But you can plug in any metrics, and Zapier can zap in any custom data. So you can have calculations of anything you want. Anyway, I love that because spreadsheets are wonderful. It holds you accountable to it. It allows you to start to see trends and analyze things, and then you can view in real time. I also think about it like leading and lagging indicators too. If you're looking at a P&L, well, obviously that's lagging information. That's information that, well, it already happened. We can't really change that. We spent that money. But Parker, I'd love to talk about, if you're an online based business or a coach out there selling courses, and you're like, man, I'm making some money, there's more money at the end of the month, and the business bank account is growing. At what point should they start to look at a firm like yours or say, I think I think I need Parker and his team? There's certain thresholds.
Yeah, so I mean, in general, for our business, our clients can come to us like at 75K a year in revenue, and they're super profitable, and they're just like, my system is overwhelming and I want
Mm,
someone else to do this. And our pricing is based on the size of the business. But then we also work with multi seven figure, getting into the 8 figure realm businesses. Usually those are the businesses that have worked with the CFO. They've overcomplicated everything and realized like we need a team that actually knows how to reconcile this data properly, present it to us well, and again have that accurate, clean data to then put into spreadsheets and do all that stuff. But for the US based businesses that come to us, businesses that are operating in US dollars, selling digital products, kind of in that, getting to that $100,000 a year threshold. Before then, I'm a big fan of spreadsheets. I'm a big fan of so what we did when we launched the book last year, Profit Pillars, we came out with uh, a bookkeeping spreadsheet, and we have a spreadsheet guy. He doesn't work internally in our business. He's a partner. His name is Dennis. He is the man. He does stuff in Google Sheets I didn't even know was possible. He actually helped us to develop all of the client dashboards that we send to our clients each month. It's pulling data from QuickBooks into Google Sheets. It's a thing of wonder, and I'm so glad we have Dennis to help us with that. But he also helped us to put together a bookkeeping spreadsheet, because I think you said this, Daniel. Like, there's something about being held accountable to that spreadsheet, of having to actually manually enter in the data yourself. So we created this bookkeeping spreadsheet specifically for smaller businesses that um like we use QuickBooks Online. I don't think any online business owner should be doing their own books with QuickBooks. It's QuickBooks Online, Zero, these bookkeeping softwares will try to convince you as a business owner, like, oh yeah, you can do it in our software, but you're going to mess it up. 99% of you are going to really screw up your books in bookkeeping software because you're not an accountant. You're not a bookkeeper. Why would you know how to do this properly? And you shouldn't be spending hours a day trying to learn how to use bookkeeping software when you should be running your business instead, anyways. But most of us have some experience with spreadsheets, and also with our spreadsheet that we sell on our website. It, it's hard to screw up a spreadsheet because we've set up the spreadsheet where it's like input the data, add a category to it, and then the spreadsheet kind of moves the data into all the various places that you would need to move it into. And so there is something about this process, though, where you're having to copy and paste the data from your bank statements, or maybe you're entering it in manually. Now you're getting familiar with every transaction in your business. You're not putting your head in the sand and just going, someone else deal with this and they do it okay. Or a lot of the times, a lot of bookkeepers will just frankly not do it well at all. And so at least when your business is small, because if someone's trying to sell you on bookkeeping for $100, $200 a month, you get what you pay for, and more power to you if that's what you want to do. But in reality, there's this opportunity to learn, number one, how money is moving in and out of your business, especially when there's not a lot of transactions in your business. In the early stages, maybe you only have a couple deposits from Stripe or a couple wire transfers from clients each month. You got some software transactions, you pay a couple of contractors, you're done. Like, you may only have 15 transactions in your business a month. Cool. Copy paste those transactions into a spreadsheet, categorize it, and start to get familiar with your income and your expenses more deeply. Because as you start, like for us, we tell our customers who buy the spreadsheets, when this starts to become cumbersome, where you're like, I got 50, 75 transactions I need to get in this spreadsheet every month, and it's starting to stress you out, cool, you probably need to hire a bookkeeper. Great. But when you go to hire that bookkeeper, you're not a complete novice. You're not completely disconnected from the financial side of your business, where you're like, my business is growing and I got money in the bank, but here, can you just take care of this? And I want to stay completely unengaged from it. I don't want to touch it. This is your problem now. And that tends to bite business owners in the butts. But if you've already been doing your books in a spreadsheet, familiar with the transactions in your business, learning a few financial terms along the way, then when you bring experts in, you're not going to be complete novice. You're not going to be like, oh, I don't know anything, just take control. It's like, at our firm, we're actually trying to teach our clients how to understand their numbers. We want them to engage with our bookkeepers and the data, and become better business owners from it, because we all win together if that happens. Their businesses grow, their clients for a longer time. And so it really is a win-win when they engage with this. But again, when you avoid this and avoid it and avoid it and avoid it, and then your business gets too big to avoid it, it's harder to jump in and learn the financial side of your business when it's already a lot bigger, versus if you understand it now when it's small and you're taking responsibility for your books now when the business is small. When it grows, you're not going to feel like you can't handle
Hmm. You know, I have never heard a bookkeeper or the owner of a bookkeeping firm
it.
say that they want to help me understand the books alongside. Personally, I love doing my books. I have a firm do reconciliation and guide me through the process of that, but I've never heard someone blatantly say, look, hey, I want to help you understand this. And I'll be a case study here. I started my very first web design firm in 2015, and I did the books off of a spreadsheet, a Google sheet. And
Great.
since then, each LLC that I've had, I've used a spreadsheet early on. And then I remember that inflection point where I said, all right, Be Known LLC, we've got a lot of transactions, and man, I'm spending a ton of time in this spreadsheet. And oh crap, I got to track this down and that through it, because I had the bank account balance too, because
Yep.
you never want to go negative. You don't want to overdraft. And I remember the inflection point of, wait a second, I think it's time. I think I need to jump onto QuickBooks Online. So that's that shameless case study there. Like, yes, I completely subscribe to that. I want that spreadsheet. Where can I buy it?
It just evolvefinance.com. It's a bookie. If you go to the learning tab at the top, and we can throw a link in here for the show notes, but
Yeah.
we have a learning section. Financial inclusivity is one of our values at Evolve Finance, because a lot of business owners, no matter what your background is, probably aren't coming from wealth, probably not coming from a place where it's like, yeah, everyone talks about money and we all know this. And I went to, an Ivy League school and I know all the things. Like for us, a lot of business owners feel insecure. They feel talked down to by their accountants. They
Mm,
feel patronized, or they just feel ignored. Like, hey, the only resource I have is my accountant or my bookkeeper, and either they don't understand my online business well enough to explain things to me, or I'm not paying them enough money to where they're going to take the time to give me the customer service I need to answer my questions and get the information I really want to learn. So again, we kind of get in these situations where it's like, well, I gotta just trust you to do all the things, and hopefully you're doing it right. But it's kind of like going to a mechanic, like an accountant and a mechanic. Like you could go to a mechanic and they can go, oh yeah, we got to repair this thing on your car, and you go, okay, it sounds serious. Here's the money. And they could literally fix nothing and you'd have no idea. Like, unless you know how to get under your hood, you know the parts of your car, you know how your car works. A lot of the times we're just trusting the mechanic to do the works, trusting that they're doing the work they say they're doing. And as long as our cars keep running, we assume they're doing a fine job. And I think that's the kind of same thing from an accounting standpoint. And we looked at that as an advantage. We looked at that as an opportunity because, again, we're not working with like large established businesses that are doing $50 million a year and they have an executive team. And, a lot of this stuff is being brought internally. So we looked at it as such a huge opportunity to go, hey, again, with the way we our business model works, the bigger your business, the more our bookkeeping services and tax services cost, because there's more we can do for you. The value of what we do only grows. So if we have a vested interest in helping our clients to get more financially literate and get better at this, their businesses are just going to be more successful. It's just, that's the reality. There's no way that as a business owner, if you learn how to look at your numbers and analyze those numbers better without needing a CFO or needing anyone else's support, and I'm not saying there isn't a point where sometimes it is good to bring in a fractional CFO or get some other support. But for the most part, if you can solve most of the problems in your business because you know what data points to look at, running a business starts to become, number one, cheaper, but also you're going to make more of the right decisions and your business is going to grow. So that's why we're such big proponents of, I do a lot of teaching for free. We have the book is a very affordable way to learn this whole part of your business. And then we have these courses on our website. And again, just go to the learn tab at the top of our website at evolvefinance.com. And, even our social media platforms, we're just trying to teach people and make this stuff less, mysterious, right? Because
yeah.
if you the amount of misinformation on the internet about taxes or finance for small business is wild, because everyone thinks there's some magic voodoo tricks out there that I just don't know about. And it's like, no, it's pretty straightforward. It's just most business coaches don't understand it well enough to explain it to you, or you get some of these people who are so wealthy and have so much money that they're playing games that most business owners, they don't even have the opportunity to play. So that's why we're so passionate about this component of our services, at least because the more small business is the backbone of America. Like, truly, are that this kind we I think we think about the stock market and all these major corporations, but like the meat and potatoes of our economy are small businesses. So in our from our standpoint, if we can help our small group of clients and customers get better with finance, we feel like we're doing our part to just help support small business in our country and support our economy.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, that resonates very well because some of the values that you shared are exactly how I lead my business as well. You know, I think about other marketing agencies and they throw around vanity metrics such as you got a ton of impressions or you got a lot of clicks. That's cool. I don't remember the last time a click
Put
went into
money in your
my
bank
bank
account
account.
directly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that. My bank account's made up of good old US dollars, but besides the point. So, are there any common myths or common false narratives that you see? Some common things that are like, hey, actually, that is a bunch of BS and a half. Anything that you can think
Oh,
of?
there's a lot, and what a lot of business owners don't understand is just how much they think of their numbers as like, okay, what do I owe in taxes, and if a finance person looked at my P&L, they just tell me to cut expenses. But I think a lot of our clients, and maybe I'm tooting my own horn here, and maybe well, we have a lot of testimonials on our website that I guess would back up what I'm about to say. But I can look at a client's P&L, an online business owner specifically, any P&L, and go, if it's set up with our profit pillars, and even if it wasn't set up, I've looked at enough P&Ls, I can figure it out. I know exactly operationally where your challenges are. I can tell if you're having problems with team. I can tell if you're having problems with lead acquisition. I can tell if you're selling too many offers. Like there's so much operationally that I think a lot of business owners just don't always understand the tie between their financial decisions and their operations decisions. Every operational decision is tied to money. So one of the things that I think so like Alex Hormozy, I saw something pop up, and he's got this new YouTube thing and this new YouTube show, and he had this person come on. I think it was a woman who had a coaching. She had like 8 different businesses going on, and she's like, I just feel like I should be making more money. He's like, yeah, you need to focus on one thing. And she was really like, tore up about being unsure about having to make a decision, and loves the novelty of coming up with new ideas. And that's something that we were telling clients that 10 years ago. And not because we're like business geniuses, but because the numbers showed it. When our clients had a long, like if their income section where it shows all the different things they sell, which for our clients, we're able to actually separate our clients' revenue by offer using their merchant accounts, using their sales software, which a lot of bookkeepers don't do. But the longer their revenue section was on their P&L, the more offers were on there, typically the more profitability issues they had. Unless they had really streamlined, automated sort of product strategies, the more offers you sell, the less likely you're going to be profitable. Or you're just going to be sacrificing a lot of profit, because as a small business, you only have so much time, so much team, so much money, that to try to launch and promote and deliver a variety of different offers is really difficult. And that's why, we tell our clients, if you're doing less than $1 million, you shouldn't have more than 3 offers that you're trying to sell and promote. And ideally, if you're selling a high ticket offer, you should have one main offer that drives the majority of your sales up to $1 million. And then when you get more money and more resources, then you can experiment more with upsells and downsells. Now, what I will say, if you have a lower price point offer, then you may need to have 2, 3, 4 offers, upsells and downsells right from the start, because you're trying to increase the average client value, the amount of money on average each customer is paying you. You might have to get creative with that, because no one's going to pay $2,000 for a guitar course, right, on how to play guitar. So you have to get a little more creative there. But ultimately, I think people don't always understand how much you can tell how good a product strategy is, or your product offering strategy is, based on just looking at the numbers. And that's where like focused intention around 1 or 2 main offers can absolutely change the course of a business. And I've seen that. Like, no one told me this, Daniel. I didn't read about this. We literally looked at so many damn P&Ls for the last decade that it's like, oh, there's a pattern here, and now this pattern is something we teach our clients. But the other thing too is, a lot of the times people overcomplicate their financial, what I call sort of their financial foundations. They think, I need to have 7 checking accounts, and I need to have 4 credit cards because I need to gain the credit card points, and I need to like have all these things, right? Okay, I'm going to have people check out from this offer on this platform, and then I'll sell this other offer over here on another platform. Simplify it. Like, usually business owners who are doing this are doing it because their bookkeeping sucks. They're trying to jimmy rig their financial accounts to track their business's numbers, instead of just hiring a bookkeeper that knows how to track it properly, so you don't have to have 7 checking accounts or 5 merchant accounts or 6 sales softwares and all that. Like, just because your business is growing doesn't mean you need more financial accounts. In fact, like, the more our business has grown, the less accounts we've had at Evolve Finance. Like, we have 1 main checking account, we have 1 main credit card, we have 1 main merchant provider, right? And then if you have a good bookkeeper, they can help you track Okay, what are we spending money on? That's what QuickBooks Online is for. But there's something about business owners who think my business is getting bigger. I better get more businessy and complicate things. And it's just not true. It just actually makes things a mess. And when things get messy and complicated, profit's going to suffer. It just means more messes. Your team's less efficient. You're paying for more software. You're paying to fix more problems. And so that's another thing here that I would just say is like, just keep it simple. Like the less financial accounts you have, the better. Just get a good bookkeeper to make sure they are tracking what's going on in those financial accounts properly so you can understand what's going on. But I could probably go on and on forever here, Daniel, about
No.
all
Hey,
these
hey,
myths and what people are missing.
that's great. I think about it as it relates to the energy of the campaign, and not to get too woo woo, but I'm a very logical guy 99% of the time until I see the energy of a launch, a funnel, a campaign get thrown off because the business owner is erratic, or
Yes.
they get stressed out, or they have too many dadgum things open, or etc. You can probably extrapolate from there, but that's a real thing. I've seen it. I've been in this industry long enough to see it and not just have it be an outlier in some instances. So, yes, very much so. Tight, lean, profitable. Keep it simple. The old KISS method.
Did
Well,
the words
yeah.
I use the most, Daniel? Because it sounds like you have your terms and vocab you use a lot. I use focus and intention a lot. Focused
Yeah.
intention, if you want to really double down on it, but that is such a key. And again, excuse me, I can look at a P&L and tell how focused and intentional is this business. There is a point where, like, if we have a client with a smaller, like let's say under $250,000 a year in revenue, we look at their P&L and I go, hey, I get it. You've had a little bit of success. You're trying some things. You got to still throw some spaghetti on the wall. You're still trying to figure out how to really land on the offer, really land on the strategies that are bringing leads into your business. I get it. But eventually, we got to get more focused and we have to get more intentional if we want our numbers to look the way we want, not only from a revenue growth standpoint, but also from a profitability standpoint, because focused and intentional doesn't just matter from a sales and marketing standpoint. It also matters from an operational standpoint. It means having the right people in the right positions to do the right work, having the right systems in place to support the repetitive nature of a business. And I'll end with this, Daniel, because you had kind of brought it up, and I was thinking of it when you said it, but you said kind of rinse and repeat, right? What we tell our clients all the time: I want you to feel bored. I want your business to
Yes.
feel like, to start to feel boring, because you've done such a good job of creating a great offer that you're bringing new people to all the time, and just do it over and over and again. And again, I know this isn't like financial mistakes, but if there is one last thing that I see business owners struggle with, is starting an online business usually revolves around creativity. If so, you're creating
Mm-hmm.
offers, you're creating programs, you're creating frameworks, you're creating content, and that becomes a crutch almost. It becomes your not maybe a crutch. It becomes a comfort blanket where it's like, this
Mm-hmm.
is comfortable. I know how to create. I know how to make things. Um, and eventually, if you want a business that can scale, if you want a business that starts to be able to have systems and operations, and if you want to take yourself out of the day to day more, we have to build a business where we know what we're selling to who, we know how to sell it effectively, and we know how to do it over and over again. And the only way to do that is to get focused and intentional around your offers. Because if you're constantly creating new things all the time, and sometimes you do, like, I'm not saying we don't have to create new offers sometimes, but if that's what we're doing all the time, then the business becomes so volatile that it becomes very difficult to create foundational processes and get the most out of your team to be effective and to really hit the business's goals. If there's a lot of chaos, if there's always change, if there's always new things going on in there, that's a great way to stagnate your business and put a ceiling on your revenue growth. And that's the one thing I tell our clients a lot is I go, so much of becoming an online business owner, at least, is getting, like you said, more precise, more intentional, more focused with what you're doing. And that does mean having to ignore some of the entrepreneurial
Mm,
ADD tendencies we have, which is the shiny new object or the new project, the novelty of like, ooh, something new, something exciting. Because as someone who's grown a business, a lot of the work we've had to do this is the unsexy work, but it's also the most rewarding, and it's built something real. It's built a business where my business partner and I have so much support. We have a team. We're not in the day to day anymore. Like, we've built the business I think a lot of people want to build, like that they're excited to build. But if you're not willing to go deeper into the things that are working instead of going wide and spreading yourself thin for the novelty, then it's just really difficult to reach the financial goals I think a lot of business owners want to get to.
yep. I see that all the time. I
I
see
would
it all
sure
the
think so.
time. There is another word that I use. I don't use it as often as I should, but discipline.
Yeah.
You've got to be disciplined. You've got to be disciplined to create the content every single week at the same time. Show up and do it. You got to be disciplined to work your set hours, not just work from your bed. And that's not most people, but that we work with. But it goes back to discipline. So focus, intentionality, a tight, lean, profitable business, and discipline to show up and do the work. And then all the other attributes that you already have: creativity, a heart for others, passion, intentionality, focus, and those will follow. But discipline is so important. Well, Parker, I want to ask one last question before we wrap this up.
Sure.
This is a burning question I have. How much money should you leave in your bank account, in your business bank account?
So what we recommend to our clients, and this is something we track for them on their monthly financial dashboards, at least for our bookkeeping clients. If they're also a tax client, we also have a separate section to kind of help them make sure that of the money they're saving, what amount of it is going to taxes. But we like our clients to have a 3-month runway. Now, we have some clients, depending on their business model and how cash flow positive it is, they might go 6 months. And that's fine. It's likely a little more than they need, but a lot of it just depends on the size of the business. Versus, so for some of our clients, maybe just getting to 1 month is a good starting place to get 1 month of cash flow. But what we like 3 months because, again, even if you're doing upwards of 6 to 10 million a year in revenue, you're still agile. Like, I don't think you're considered a medium sized business until you cross the 25 million a year threshold. So anything below 25 million, you're still a small business. And so what we found is that these businesses tend to be so agile that if you have a 3-month runway where you know you can pay yourself, your team, cover all your expenses for 3 months, if you were making no money at all and you're just burning through your savings, that's enough time to be able to pivot, adjust, figure things out and do what you need to do, whether maybe you do need to cut expenses or maybe it's just you need to pivot on your marketing strategy, you need to do another launch, whatever it may be. Because we all know, being business owners, we got to be scrappy, we got to adapt, we got to pivot. So we really like that 3-month mark in the business. And then when you go into your personal finances, what a lot of financial professionals would say is that's where maybe having 6 months or even a year would be great to have in the bank. And I understand that a lot of this might sound very privileged, and for some of you, you're like, I just need to get to 1 month. That's fine. Start wherever you need to get to. But a lot of the reason we start businesses is because of the lack of financial cap that's put on us, right? There's a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of stress that comes along with that. So if you are running a business, like, then hopefully eventually you will get to that point where your cash flow is so good you can get that 3 months in the bank, you can get that 6 to 12 months of your personal expenses saved up. Because the reality is, and this is maybe a good story to kind of end this with, Daniel, we had a what we call our mid-year roundtable where we invite all of our clients to come and I talk a little bit about the state of the industry, what we're seeing in our clients' numbers, and then invite our clients to also share like what's been going on for you, what are you seeing, what's working, what's not working. And we had a client who had been with us for a while, left, and then just recently came back. And at the end of the workshop, she unmutes her video and says, "Hey, I just wanted to say this. I met you back. I think I met her back in 2018 at a live event. I had talked about like, hey, running an online business is great. They're super profitable. They're some of the most profitable businesses you could get into outside of having a drug cartel or selling electronics with an Apple on the outside of it. Other than that, the profits are pretty good in these businesses. But I've always advised to be like, but still, like, put money away. You can't assume your business is going to grow every year and every year is going to be your best year ever. And so she said that she's like, I remember you saying that. I thought about it every year. And her business shrunk a lot in the last 3 years, like a lot of online businesses have. A lot of course creators, coaches, and all that. They're seeing the state of the economy right now, and a lot of our clients are stagnating, or maybe for the first time had their first down year where they didn't make as much money as they did the year before. But this particular client had some really good years, and she said, I put money away. I put money into real estate. I put money into the stock market. And so that way, when she saw the signs of her business downsizing, she could deal with that. And now she was fortunate that she built a business large enough and was profitable enough that she could make substantial, investments into her personal financial situation. But as business owners, I think we're seeing, and I'd say this especially in the online business space, this is the first time we've seen a recession. Like, this is the first, because 2008 was kind of when a lot of the OG online business owners got started, like a lot of the big names. It was 2008 and after, and 2008 was our last massive recession. And so we're going through our first economic downturn, really, for our industry. And so this is the first taste of like, oh, I got to manage my cash flow. I need to be like, I can't just expect to grow every single year. And so that's where I think as business owners, we're not getting just a paycheck from a job where they put the money into a 401k for us, they cover our health, and whatever it may be, where it's all done for us. We have to be responsible for this stuff ourselves. So that's why, yes, if you're not making enough money yet to pay your bills or whatever, then you work with what you have. But this is where just having good books, being more financially literate is so important. If you have clean books that you can understand your P&L from, you can at least make better decisions around, when do I invest in my business? When do I just pay myself and start putting money into my personal investments, right? There's this balancing act we have to play as business owners because no one else is going to do it for us. We have to make the most of the wealth building opportunities in our businesses, but it's a hell of a lot easier to get good at this when you have clear financial data and you have the financial literacy you need to actually make decisions from the data. And Lord knows that data is really important on the marketing side as well, with running ads and social media and all of that. So if we can embrace the unsexy parts of our businesses, the sooner you embrace those unsexy parts, chances are it's only a matter of time before you have the success you're looking for.
Man, let's end it on the mic drop right there. Parker, this has been a masterclass in money focused mindset and setting yourself up for success. So, obviously, you talked about some different tools and Evolve Finance. So, tell me where they can find you.
Yeah, if you just go to Evolved Finance, EVOLVED, evolvedfinance.com. That's where everything's at. If you're curious about our services for bookkeeping and tax, you can learn more about it there. If you want to learn where you can pick up my book, Profit Pillars, which I'm a real big fan of, it's a great
Yep.
place to
I
start.
have a copy on my coffee table.
Yes, yes, sir. That's what happens when you know Parker. Parker sends copies of his book at you. And then also you'll find those courses on there. We have a bookkeeping spreadsheet, sort of a planning spreadsheet, a forecast and budget spreadsheet looking to the future. We have a personal budget spreadsheet because there's a whole chapter in the book where I talk about one personal budget spreadsheet changed my life forever. It was like changed my financial future, was getting a personal budget in place, as well as a couple of other tools on there, and you can browse them, check them out. And then obviously you can find our social on there. We're pretty active on Instagram and YouTube, TikTok, all those fun places, just trying to share more content like this to help people understand their numbers a little better.
Excellent. Well, I don't know any other bookkeeping and accounting firm out there that is as intentional as you guys are. And I've been through a lot. I've worked with a lot of different partners. So I just want to say hats off to you. Here, let me put my hat on. Hats off to you and the company that you run, because there's not many out there like you. I haven't met anyone else, and so I'm happy to know you and happy to refer people to you. So Parker, thanks, man. It was great to see you, and I'm looking forward to doing it again soon. We can dive into chart of accounts next time.
Let's do it. I'm all for it. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate the kind words, man.